Hopkins Community Church, coming to you with another update in this series of updates that we have been doing over the past month. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we did an update last, and that's because we needed to really get our ducks in a row around a reopening plan, and that is what this video is all about. This is kind of the basics of our reopening plan, our resuming of indoor, in-person worship services and ministries at Hopkins Community Church. So, if you remember with me, our target date for reopening, our first date back inside, is September 13. And we are still calling it a target date because the reality is, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, things are changing around us, and the situation is kind of constantly evolving. Right? We keep using words like unprecedented and difficult and all of these words that are probably going to end up on the 2020 words that we never want to hear again list. But the reality is, and especially with school starting, we just don't know. We don't know what is going to happen. We don't know what the reactions to the things happening are going to be. And so we want to be prudent. We want to be cautious, but we do also want to move forward. And we really feel like the results of the survey that went out really showed an overwhelming majority, 80+%, probably almost close to probably 85% or so, really want to get back inside. And so we wanted to create a good, solid, well thought out plan that allows for the most flexibility, the most venues. We have a number of venues that we are going to offer for worship in the coming weeks and months, and just opportunity for people to come and be a part of the fellowship regardless of their comfort level. We wanted to make space available for those who are very comfortable and for those who are very uncomfortable. That we can all still be together under one roof. And we also wanted to recognize the fact that if we're going to do this, we want to do it well, because right, so it doesn't feel like it today, but winter's coming, and I will preach outside in a blizzard if I have to, but I would prefer not to if we could help it at all. So that's really where we're at. And so the way that we're going to do reopening, I'm not going to give you all of the nitty-gritty details. As a matter of fact, you can check below in the post that this video is attached to on our website, and there is a document. It's like 8 pages long of kind of reopening details, and I would encourage you to read it. It's not exactly a thrilling read, but it has a lot of the details and a lot of the thought process behind what we're going to be doing. But how we're going to be doing reopenings, we're going to do it in phases. I mean, everybody else seems to be doing everything in phases, right? We're in phase 3 or 4 in the state, 3.5 or something. So we're going to reopen in phases. And I just want to explain a little bit of what that means, and at least one or a couple of elements of what you can expect. And we're actually going to make another video that kind of is like a step-by-step, walking into church the first time, what you can expect, what you're going to see, and so on and so forth. So, so phase 1 of this reopening is going to be really focused on indoor, in-person worship services. So phase 1 is going to include our Sunday morning worship service. We will go back to 9:30. Please note the time difference, the time change. We're going to go back to 9:30 instead of the 10 that we have been doing. And we're going to do kind of our normal in-person worship service. And you can see a little bit more of the details in that document. And we'll talk a little bit more about the details in the next video that we make about like coming back to church and stuff like that. But what that's really going to be is in-person worship and then fellowship. So there will be greeters that will be helping. Those greeters will be a number of people from the consistory for a while, as well as others helping around, those that kind of know what's going on. And so they will be helping to kind of direct traffic and direct people where to go. And there will be coffee. And most of that coffee is going to be after the worship service, and for as long as we possibly can. Hopefully, do coffee fellowship outside. No cookies, sorry, no cookies yet, and no milk either. But there will be coffee because I know how much you all have been missing our wonderfully under flavored church coffee. And from me to you, I love coffee. I know a lot of you love coffee, and everybody just loves flavorless coffee. So that's what we're going to go for. Um, and we're going to, hopefully, we're going to try to do it outside. Um, and that's going to be it for the first couple of weeks. We're going to do through the month of September, we're going to just do the in-person worship thing, and we're going to really focus in on that. We're going to work to refine it, and we're going to work to make it work well for us. Because the reality is, maybe discipleship hour. I don't want to diminish any other ministry in the church because they all have their place. But it is the Sunday morning worship service that I think a lot of people are really antsy to get back to, and it's the Sunday morning worship service that, quite frankly, is the one thing that I think we would want to do and keep doing, even if there was another shutdown this fall. And we want to have a good plan and a good practice in place for our church and for our community, because this isn't just about us getting together to worship. It's about us being a good neighbor and considering the greater Hopkins community. So that's phase one, Lord willing. And if things go well, phase two would be the resuming of things like discipleship hour, walkout worship, nursery in some capacity, and that would be at the beginning of October. So um, that is generally the plan. What you'll note in that is that this doesn't actually apply to any of our non-Sunday morning worship groups, or I'm sorry, discipleship groups. So small groups, you'll see signups for small groups. Small groups will be launching in the week of September 13th. And they're going to have a kind of a plan and a practice for themselves. And, that's each individual group, our high school, middle school youth groups, GEMS, cadets, our Thursday night expectancy group. And forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody. We have Ladies for the Lord. We have Monday morning Bible study. We have, a lot of other things that are going on too. And we are, as a consistory, saying we don't necessarily even know the ins and outs of what goes on in those different ministries. And you can't say that GEMS has to do the same thing as cadets, or youth group has to do the same thing as small groups or whatever, because they're all different. They all are in different venues, with different populations and different numbers of people. And so we have provided some general recommendations to our ministry team leaders, and we are encouraging them to have a plan of what they're planning, what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be engaged, whether it's physical distancing or masks or whatever, and that it's going to be on them. We entrust them and we empower them to make those decisions as they feel is best for the ministries that they are called to lead right now. And so that's really reopening in a nutshell. Just a couple of things to kind of end this video with, and we'll get into more of the details, like I said, in a later video. But a couple of things. The first thing is we will continue live streaming our worship services indefinitely at this point. We have made a lot of upgrades to kind of our technology and our audio and our visual stuff, and I just want to say, like, we're doing this on purpose because we recognize that there are people that aren't comfortable coming, and we also recognize that we are moving into a season shortly, shorter than any of us probably actually want, a season where getting to church isn't always the easiest. And so if we can live stream our services, it provides just another option for people to join us and be a part of our community without necessarily having to be distracted by the anxiety of being in a crowd or whatever is going on there. So the live stream will continue. We are going to close off the multi-purpose room for our worship services, and that is going to be a space specifically for people who aren't comfortable being in groups of people without masks. So the multi-purpose room will be closed to anyone except those who are wanting to engage in the kind of highest level of COVID-19 precautions. There will be a screen in there. There will be speakers in there. You'll be able to see and be a part of the service, but you won't be forced to necessarily be in the foyer and be in places where social distancing is probably just not possible. Because quite frankly, I mean, the reality is in the foyer of the church, social distancing is just not possible. It's just not. And we just have to acknowledge that as a reality and a limitation of the space that we have. So we're going to be putting in a path from the parking lot around that new shed that we have, and it's going to go into that kind of back door so that those who want to stay away, who need a mask, who feel like their health is compromised, or those who want to sit with maybe their family members who are, fit in that category. So let's just say, grandma and grandpa go and sit in there. You can also go and sit in there, but you have to be willing to live up to the same standards of having a mask on, keeping social distance and stuff. We have tables set in there so they're apart from each other and so on and so forth. So we want to create that kind of a venue so people can come and be here and be a part of the community without feeling like they are risking their health and possibly even their life. Because the reality for a lot of people is that this is a very big deal. And I just know that it's hard to worship and keep our focus on God when we have other distractions in our life. We have enough distractions in our life. Thinking about groceries and work and kids and this and that and school and blah, 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 blah. This is just one more thing. So we want to create that venue, a place where people can be distanced physically and have masks on and be required to have masks on in that space. And then the sanctuary is going to be for those who are a bit more comfortable. And we are going to encourage social distancing in the sanctuary, or physical distancing. I'm sorry, we're not socially distant here. Like, we're trying to be social and fellowship. Physically distant. We are going to encourage physical distancing, but you all are adults. And so we're not going to have anybody that's enforcing and walking around with a yardstick and trying to make people sit apart. This is going to be really about us caring for each other well, and what that means for us is, right, if you walk into the sanctuary and you see some people sitting there and you've been hanging out with them throughout the week, you can sit right next to them. Go for it, right? If you feel comfortable doing that and they feel comfortable doing that, fine. But if you see people that you haven't seen in a while, maybe you don't go and sit right next to them. Maybe you kind of sit in the next row a little over, whatever. You can talk and whatever. It's about caring for each other well. One of the ways that we're going to do that is through using wristbands. And you can see I have this green wristband on. We're going to have wristbands available at the door. We're going to ask that everybody grab one. Green means go, right? Green means go. So, if I'm wearing a green wristband, what I'm saying is I am very comfortable with the whole COVID thing. I'm happy to shake your hand. I'm really not wanting to wear a mask, and so on and so forth. That's my preference, right? We have yellow wristbands. I wish I would have brought one home, but I don't have one here. We have yellow wristbands. Those are more of like I'm happy. I'm semi-comfortable, but I still have some precautions. So I don't want to shake anybody's hand. I'd like to try to keep some physical distancing if possible. And then we have red wristbands, and those are I'm going to wear a mask, and please don't shake my hand. Please stay physically distant. Please respect my concern for my own health, or maybe it's the health of family members. People that don't necessarily fall into the class of high priority cases, whatever. Have family members that do, and so people they're engaging in physical distancing for the sake of family members. And so the red wristbands are going to be primarily, I think, in the multi-purpose room, and those doors will be closed, so there won't be an intermingling of people. And parents, you're going to have to just keep an eye on your kids. anyways, that's probably a lot more confusing information and stuff like that. Read the document. I just encourage you to do that. We're all in this together, and I know you've heard that from local officials and state officials and government officials and all this stuff. But we are in this together, and we want to make this work well, and we want to be wise about how we engage in this, and yet um, still offer the freedom to be able to make choices as adults and as free people and as brothers and sisters in Christ who come together to worship God, a God who calls us to love each other well. So yeah, that's it for now. Sorry, you probably just are wondering why I'm rambling at this point. Uh, yeah, there will be more. We'll make some sort of video that kind of walks you through the steps of like what church is going to look like and spaces and things like that. In the meantime, I encourage you to read the document that is attached to this post. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you have any comments, concerns, please reach out to me. Reach out to the consistory members. We want to hear this. We want to hear from you. We crave your feedback uh, and suggestions, things maybe we haven't thought about, and we want to work together to make this thing work. So um, yeah. Anyways, blessings to you. I hope you all are well. Um, we're praying fervently for the beginning of the school year, and looking forward to seeing you all again very soon, being with you together in worship in the same room. And I can't tell you, I'm really excited for that. I miss you all very much, and just waving at you in the parking lot just doesn't quite cut it. It's not quite the same. So blessings to you. Have a wonderful week.